This is Jang Song-thaek. He was a nobody who became the second most powerful man in North Korea after marrying Kim Jong-il's sister. But Jang also holds one of the most bizarre records in history. He's the only person ever executed by anti-aircraft missiles. So how did Jang go from being the second most powerful man in North Korea to completely losing everything overnight, and eventually got executed by anti-aircraft missile on the direct order of his own nephew, Kim Jong-un? And if you're new here, don't worry, this episode stands on its own. But it's also the finale of a 3-part series. So if you want the full story, be sure to check out parts 1 and 2 after this. To understand why his nephew Kim Jong-un had him blown into pieces, we have to go back to Kim Jong-il's death. On December 17, 2011, Kim Jong-il died in Pyongyang. After that, his youngest son Kim Jong-un took power. Earlier we mentioned that Jang had a very close relationship with Kim Jong-il's oldest son Kim Jong-nam. So what about his relationship with Kim Jong-un? Well, not so great. Jang Song-thaek was never close to Kim Jong-un or his mother Ko Yong-hui. And it all started with a misunderstanding that went way back. You see, Kim Jong-il's father Kim Il-sung hated Ko Yong-hui. She used to be one of Kim Jong-il's dancers from his pleasure squad. And on top of that, she was also a returnee from Japan, a group that sits at the very bottom of North Korea's social ladder. To Kim Il-sung, she wasn't just beneath his son, but she had no business being anywhere near the royal bloodline. Even after Kim Jong-un was born, the old man still refused to accept her. One day, while venting to Jang Song-thaek, Kim Il-sung unloaded all his frustration, and Jang tried to be agreeable, just nodded quietly. But guess who overheard the whole conversation? Yep, it was Kim Jong-un. From that moment on, he blamed his uncle for turning his grandfather against his mom. And Jang knew it. He knew that if Kim Jong-il handed power to Kim Jong-un, he would be in serious trouble. So while Kim Jong-il was still alive, Jang kept pushing for the crown to go to his oldest son, Kim Jong-nam. But by the time Kim Jong-il was nearing the end of his life, Jong-nam had already fallen out of favor and was living in exile in Macau. But every month, Jang would personally send money to support him. As I mentioned in my previous video, he had doted on Jong-nam since he was a kid. Whatever Jong-nam needed, Jang made sure he got it. Even after Kim Jong-nam had lost his father's favor, Jang never gave up on him. He stayed in close contact, still hoping that Kim Jong-nam could one day take the throne. But here's the thing, Jang Song-thaek and Kim Jong-nam were not just close. They also share something even more dangerous, a vision for reform. They hoped North Korea could follow China's path, open up its economy and bring prosperity to its people. But both Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un were firmly against it. They saw economic reform as a threat to the Kim family's grip on power, something that could destabilize the regime and trigger a full-on collapse. There's even a rumor that on his deathbed, Kim Jong-il warned Kim Jong-un, "If anyone tells you to reform, that person is our greatest traitor." Still, even after Kim Jong-un took power, Jang didn't stop. He kept pushing for reform, hoping to modernize the country. However, that move only made Kim Jong-un despise him even more. But here's the question. If Kim Jong-un simply wanted his uncle out of the picture, why go so far as to have him publicly executed by anti-aircraft missiles, just 2 years after taking power? To understand that, we have to go back to Jang Song-thaek's 2012 visit to Beijing. By then, Jang wasn't just North Korea's second-in-command. He was also China's main point of contact in Pyongyang. And Beijing liked him a lot. He was the one advocating for Chinese-style reform inside North Korea. And China hoped he could help turn North Korea into a more stable neighbor. Because there's no one in this world wants a nuclear-armed madman as their next-door neighbor. But rumors started swirling that during his trip, Jang had actually conspired with Chinese officials to stage a coup, to replace Kim Jong-un with his older brother Kim Jong-nam, who was known to be more pro-China. And somehow this information made its way to Kim Jong-un, allegedly through Zhou Yongkang, China's powerful security chief at the time. This one visit set off a deadly chain reaction. Not only it led to Jang Song-thaek's violent downfall in 2013, and possibly the assassination of Kim Jong-nam in 2017, and Zhou Yongkang was also sentenced to life in prison for leaking state secrets. 1 foreign trip, 2 political deaths, 1 life sentence. So why did Jang Song-thaek even think about teaming up with China for a coup? Let's make it very clear. Planning a coup was never plan A. It's kind of move you only make when you are backed into a corner, because if it fails, you are dead. But for Jang, the writing was already on the wall. Even without this alleged coup attempt, his fall was only a matter of time. When Kim Jong-un first took power, almost every level of government was in Jang's hands. To Kim Jong-un, Jang wasn't just an uncle. he was the greatest threat to his authority, someone who was too powerful, too connected, and far too difficult to control. This conspiracy with Beijing just gave Kim Jong-un the perfect excuse to pull the trigger. So once Jang Song-thaek returned to North Korea, Kim Jong-un was ready to make his move. And he did it in the most dramatic, horrifying way imaginable. One day, completely unannounced, Kim told Jang to attend a government event. But when Jang arrived, he was blindsided. Right in the middle of the venue, shackled in handcuffs, were his two most trusted lieutenants. Moments later, in front of the entire crowd, they were executed by anti-aircraft missiles. One report even said that after the blast, the only thing left were their legs still standing upright. Everything else was blown to bits. Some sources even said Jang was so terrified to the point that he lost control of his bladder on the spot. But Kim Jong-un didn't execute him immediately after. He let Jang live for another 2 months. Why? Because he wanted him to suffer, to wake up every single day not knowing if it would be his last. Then 2 months later, in the middle of a large meeting with 400 officials attending, Kim Jong-un finally made his move. Right in the middle of the session, he had a guard stormed in and dragged Jang out of the meeting room. After rushing interrogation, Jang was sent straight to the execution site. So why arrest him in front of hundreds of North Korean officials? First, it was meant to humiliate him, strip him of all dignities in front of his peers. Second, it was a message to everyone else. If I can do this to my uncle, just imagine what I can do to you. There have always been 3 major theories about how Jang Song-thaek died. The first is the one that we have talked about, execution by anti-aircraft missile. In front of hundreds of officials, his body was blown into pieces. The second theory is somehow even more wild. He was executed by dogs. Basically, he was torn apart by a pack of starving hounds. The third, it came from Dennis Rodman. Of all people, he claimed that Jang wasn't executed at all. He was just placed under house arrest instead. But let's be honest, Dennis Rodman is not exactly a reliable source on North Korean politics. Most analysts and defectors agree Jang was executed, and he was most likely executed by anti-aircraft missiles, because there was more than 400 people were reportedly there to witness it. But here's the real question. What about his wife Kim Kyung-hui, Kim Jong-un's aunt? Jang was her husband. Did she say anything? Did she try to stop it? From what we know, not really. And honestly, it's not surprising. Their marriage had been broken for over 20 years. Jang had even ordered the execution of her boyfriend. And worst of all, the couple's only daughter had died by suicide. Many say she blamed Jang for her daughter's death. If there was ever love, it had long since turned into deep resentment. Let's be real, even if she wanted to save him, it wouldn't have mattered anyway, because in a dictatorship, power always comes before blood. Speaking up could have gotten her killed too. In the end, Jang's brutal downfall was perhaps inevitable. He played the political game and he lost badly. And honestly, after everything he had done, I think he got what he deserved. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. With that, I will see you in the next one.